Hi, my name is Jacqueline Paul, and I'm the project lead for the Mowgli Giginijana initiative. You're going to be hearing from my colleagues Elizabeth Burton, policy analyst, and Heather McNeil, our legal advisor. So we are from the Mowgli Giginijana initiative, which means keeping our children together. And our team works out of the Gwilimuk Mau Glusawakan Mi'kmaq Rights Initiative office. We are working to draft a Mi'kmaq customary code and policies to reclaim Mi'kmaq jurisdiction over child welfare from the province. The work we are doing on the Mi'kmaq Customary Code is an exercise of Aboriginal right and self-governance and does not derogate from the Aboriginal treaty and inherent rights of the Mi'kmaq rights holders. The Mi'kmaq Customary Code and policies will also remain in draft form until they are ratified and can be changed based on the feedback we receive from our stakeholders.
In this video, we're going to be talking about community involvement in supporting children and families and talk about services and supports available to meet the needs of Mi'kmaq children and families. In Mi'kmaq communities, it's common that others within the community play significant and key roles in caring for and supporting the family, particularly in times of need, and they need to be included in and relied upon to help the family through those difficult times. The Mi'kmaq Customary Code states that the varying contributions of community support providers must be considered when decisions are being made that affect Mi'kmaq children and families. Mi'kmaq community support providers can include elders, knowledge holders, family, community members, community organizations, the Mi'kmaq Grand Council, Chief and Council, and the Assembly of Nova Scotia Mi'kmaq Chiefs.
Mi'kmaq Customary Code and policies speak to families having a choice in what community support providers they want involved and to what extent, as long as the services and supports address the concerns and are in the best interests of the Mi'kmaq child. It's important for families to have choice because it helps them to feel heard and included in decision making and helps them connect with service and support providers who meet their needs. Some of the contributions community support and service providers can offer include providing advice and guidance to families, teaching traditional customs and parenting practices, supporting Mi'kmaq children to ensure they're looked after, cared for, loved, and taught their language, culture, and spiritual beliefs, promoting healing and wellness, and supporting children to be looked after by Mi'kmaq in their communities if they cannot be with their parents or caregiver. Another big community support that the MKK team has worked to develop is the Band Designate program. Band Designates work for the band, not Mi'kmaq Family and Children's Services or the Department of Community Services. Band Designates assist bands in responding to notices to band when the agency gets formally involved in a family preservation or child protection matter. The Band Designate can bring forward the perspective of the band in child protection matters. Mi'kmaq Customary Code and policies speak to how the Band Designate can play a significant role in supporting Mi'kmaq children and families by also ensuring Mi'kmaq children can exercise the right to culture and community. They play an important advocacy role to protect the collective best interests of Mi'kmaq children and families. They act as a resource and navigator, and they can ensure that children and families are included in decision-making and planning.
The Mi'kmaq Customary Code and policies also speak to the use of facilities and other programs to prevent the breakdown of Mi'kmaq families and to ensure that the removal of a child from the care of their parents or caregiver is a last resort. We recognize right now that we do not have as many facilities and programs in community as we may need. The Mi'kmaq Customary Code has provisions in it that support the Mi'kmaq, when the time is right, in developing facilities and programs to meet the needs of Mi'kmaq children, families, and communities.
The policies also speak to having an assessment and approval process for contracting facilities and programs to provide services to Mi'kmaq children and families, so that they align with the principles of the Customary Code and services are to be provided in a culturally safe and trauma-informed way.
We currently have 2 Mi'kmaq healing centers that we are working to include in the Mi'kmaq Customary Code and policies so that they can provide prevention and early help and crisis services to Mi'kmaq children and families.
The Mi'kmaq Customary Code and policies also speak to services and supports that can be provided to Mi'kmaq children, families, and carers. Carers can include customary carers, kinship carers, and foster carers. Some considerations that need to be made when providing services and supports to Mi'kmaq children, families, and carers are that a child, family, or carer should always have a voice and choice when engaging with a service provider, so they can be best set up for success with someone they're comfortable working with and who's committed to building a positive and supportive relationship with the child, family, or carer. If a child, family, or carer is working with a service provider they don't work well with and the relationship is negatively impacting progress, the social worker should support them to find a new service provider. Services and supports should be provided in a way that meets the holistic needs of the family to promote healing and wellness. Prevention and early help should always be prioritized to prevent harm to children and be proactive in supporting the integrity of the family. The Future Agency should work with community organizations in leadership to proactively address challenges, close gaps, and eliminate systemic barriers affecting Mi'kmaq children and families. When providing services and supports, social workers should make active efforts to provide the least intrusive measures possible. Finally, in order to support the provision and services and supports to Mi'kmaq children, families, and carers, we have been working to develop culturally safe and trauma-informed assessments. The assessments are based in the Mi'kmaq 7 Sacred Teachings and work to create a holistic understanding of the needs of the Mi'kmaq child, family, or carer. The social worker should complete the assessment in collaboration with the child, family, or carer and co-author the assessment so that the child, family, or carer is comfortable with how their story is captured by the social worker.
Thank you for listening. We hope you keep an eye out on our social media and YouTube pages for our next video on Duty to Report.